Good morning, everyone. So glad that you're joining us here. We'll start our service right at 10 a.m. Please make yourselves comfortable. See you shortly. Please also know that if you're here with us in the Zoom room, although we can see your faces and you can see one another's faces, people who are watching the service via our live streaming platforms cannot see your face. So if you'd like to turn on your video, we'd love to be able to see you and know that your identity is still safe. Only those who are here in this Zoom meeting can see you. So we'd love to see your face if you feel comfortable doing so. And no pressure if you're not wearing a suit and tie or other formal wear. We're happy to see you however you are.
I join my colleagues in saying how nice it is to see all of you. And if you are joining on any of our streaming platforms, please feel free to use the link to our Zoom so that you can interact with your congregation and clergy. We'd love to see you there as well. We're just happy knowing that you're joining us on this Yom Kippur morning.
Good morning and good Yantif, everybody. It's so wonderful to see all of your faces here this morning of Yom Kippur. I'm Cantor Mia Fram Davidson. Please join me in beginning together with this nigun, this melody without words. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 ya dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 ya dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai.
Shana Tova, Gemar Chatima Tova. That's the traditional Yom Kippur greeting, words that mean may each of us find a way to be sealed for blessing and life in this new year, 5781. I'm Rabbi Jonathan Blake. I'm so happy to join all of you, a great number of you here in Zoom with us from our WRT family and extended family, as well as my wonderful rabbi and cantor colleagues, Cantor Amanda Kleinman and Rabbi David Levy and Rabbi Daniel Reeser and Cantor Mia Fram Davidson and Cantor Danielle Rodnitsky and our rabbinic intern Ariel Milan Polisar, all here to greet you on this Yom Kippur morning. Now, I know a lot of you out there who are tuning in are fasting today, both the grown-ups on Zoom and in streaming land, and also maybe some of our youth congregation is fasting or making an attempt at fasting for at least part of the day, because it's a good discipline to kind of work yourself into. You don't go from 0 to 60 when it comes to learning how to fast. You kind of do just a little bit each year. Maybe you decide to skip breakfast one year, and then the next year it's breakfast and lunch, and then you go the whole 24 hours without food. Fasting, of course, is a very interesting custom that goes all the way back to Bible times, when the Jewish community was hard hit by a terrible incident, like even, for instance, a pandemic. A fast might be declared so that God would show favor to the community. These days, we don't really relate to fasting that way at all. And I think it's important for us to realize that the point of fasting, the point of not eating and not drinking for a whole day, is not to make yourself feel bad. The idea is not to make your belly empty. The idea is actually to make your heart full. So by shrinking our tummies for 24 hours, we actually are supposed to grow our hearts. Let me explain. There are millions of people all over the world who can't enjoy what we all enjoy, which are 3 square meals a day plus snacks on demand. There are a lot of people who are hungry, who don't have sufficient food, people who don't have roofs over their heads and warm beds in which to sleep. And because we recognize that they are all part of our family, the human family, it's our job to understand better what life is like for them so that we can be better fellow human beings to and with them. So by depriving ourselves of what they are deprived every single day, we learn what is called empathy. Empathy is a word that means feeling the same as. When you understand how another person is hurting, you are able to be a better friend, a better neighbor, a better fellow Jew, fellow human being. So my hope is that if you're fasting the full day, or even if you're just doing a little experimentation with fasting, or if you're not fasting at all, find a way not just to shrink your tummy, but to grow your heart, because that's actually what Yom Kippur is all about. I'm so happy that we can all be together as a community, even in these very strange and distant times. We feel your strength, we feel your love, and we feel so, so close to you right now. Gemar Chatima Tova. May each of us grow our hearts so as to inscribe ourselves and others for blessing in this new year.
We have to say amen to those beautiful words from Rabbi Blake. Let's join together in singing really similar words to the words that we sang on Rosh Hashanah. On Rosh Hashanah, we said, L'shana tova tikatevu. May you be inscribed, may you be written down for a good year. And we talked a little bit about how when we write something down, it means that we really mean it. It means we took some time to think about how we want this to be a good year for us. On Yom Kippur, we say, L'shana tova techatemu, which means may you be sealed or may you be inscribed for a good year. So we took some time to think about how we want this to be a great year. Maybe we took some notes, we wrote it down, and now on Yom Kippur we have the opportunity to seal that, to mean that we hope this will be a wonderful year, a year of blessing for all of us. So let's sing L'shana tova techatemu. L'shana tova techatemu, 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 L'shana
The service we're going to be conducting this morning will take place here on Zoom, and all of the words will be available on the screen in front of us. And some of the images in this service were created by students in our own Jewish Learning Lab. So if you see a painting or a drawing that looks familiar to you, it may be because you yourself were the creator of that content. So please join with us as we look now to our digital prayer books and we bring Yom Kippur in. Weightless. Dark and heavy, anger presses my pinched heart into my stomach. But when I forgive, when I truly forgive, my feather heart lifts, floats, light, free, spacious enough to take in the whole wonderful world. Please join with us in singing.
How sweet
We declare today, all of us in this holy community, along with God, may each of our voices be heard as we pray as one community on this holy day. Author of life, architect of creation, artist of earth, your works declare your holy name. Mighty rivers, turbulent seas, towering mountains, rolling hills, vast spaces of brilliance and grandeur. You created palette and paint, color and hue, shape and form, abundant and beautiful, glorious and majestic, full of mystery and wonder. Blessed are you, with divine love you created a world of splendor.
Baruch atah Adonai yotzer hameorot. Amen. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. We sing this song Vishinantam, which comes from the prayer Ve'ahavta, together, and I would invite all of you who have kids in the room to turn on your cameras so we can see everybody, and take out your hands and use your hands for all of these beautiful hand motions for Vishinantam. Please follow along with the clergy and sing with me. Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'dibarta bam, v'dibarta bam, 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 ba-dam, bam, bam. Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'dibarta bam, v'dibarta bam, 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 ba-dam, bam, bam. V'shivtecha b'beitecha u'melechtecha b'derech ובשוכבך ובקמך ודיברת בם בדם בם בם בשבתך בביתך ובמלאכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקמך ודיברת בם בדם בם בם ram bam bam ram bam 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 v'dibarta bam 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 ram bam bam ram bam 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 v'dibarta bam bam bam. Beautiful.
And one of the great advantages of being able to conduct services over Zoom is that it gives us access to things that we can't do in our sanctuary, like the following. These are 4 different definitions of freedom. And as we prepare to sing our people's song of freedom, Micha Mocha, I wonder which of these 4 definitions do you like best? So I'll read them, and then you'll have a chance to vote in 1 second. So, which of these definitions of freedom do you like best? Do you like that the only real freedom is freedom from fear? Interesting quote. Do you like? Freedom is not the ability to do what we want, but rather the ability to do what is right. Interesting. A third possibility, freedom lies in being bold. Or fourth, do you think that the best definition of freedom is that no one is truly free until all people are truly free? My friends, please check your Zoom screen in front of you. You should see a poll launching, a little pop-up window, and you can vote and let us know which of these 4 definitions of freedom most resonates with you as we prepare to sing our people's song of freedom, Micha Mocha, the song that the Israelites sang after crossing over the Sea of Reeds from slavery to freedom. Which of these 4 definitions most resonates with you? We'll keep the poll open for another 15 seconds. If you're having trouble finding the polling window, then please join us in the Zoom room, where is the only place that you can participate in this poll. If you're in the Zoom room, look for a little pop-up window. I'm going to count down from Chamesh, and when I get to FS, I'm going to close out the poll. Here we go. Chamesh, Arba, Shalosh, Shtaim, Echad, FS, and we're going to end the poll. And let's share the results. So look, we have people who loved every single one of these answers, but the one that got the most vote was that no one is truly free until all people are truly free. This Yom Kippur and this new year, let us all work together to try and make a world where all people can truly be free, and then we ourselves as individuals can be free as well. Please join us in our people's song of freedom, Micha Mocha.
Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nehedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osei peleh. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nehedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osei peleh. Yadadai dai dai, 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 yadadai dai dai. Adonai sechatai tiftach, urufi agit tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, at my mouth may declare your praise. Yadadai dai dai, 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 yadadai dai dai. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava. Zochreinu lechaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chotveinu b'sefer ha'chaim, lema'ancha Elohim chaim. Zochreinu lechaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chotveinu b'sefer ha'chaim, lema'ancha Elohim chaim, lema'ancha Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham be'ezrat Sarah. Ata gibor leolam, Adonai mechayei hakol atah, Rav lehoshia.
So we are about to enter into a section of our service and say a prayer called Unetana Tokef. And our Unetana Tokef prayer is a kind of scary one. It tells us all of the things that God has control over, like who will live and who will die, and who will grow old and who won't. And that's kind of a scary thought. And so sometimes I like to think about Unetana Tokef as a metaphor. And if you've learned about metaphors in school, a metaphor is a way to talk about something without actually saying those words as a comparison to something else. So I like to think about Unetana Tokef as a metaphor for what we have the power to change and what we don't. And what this prayer is telling us is that there are just some things that we don't have the power to change. There are some things that we do, but there are many things that we don't. And that's something that I know even as an adult is something that I struggle with. And I know many of my clergy colleagues will agree that sometimes it's really hard to accept that there are some things that we don't have the power to change. And that's what this prayer is about. But what I want us to think about this morning is what are some things that if we had the power to change them, we would want to change. So I'm going to ask you right now, if you are in the Zoom with us, to send me a chat of what is one thing, if you could have the power, what is one thing that you would want to change in the world? So you're going to send those, if you have an answer, please send me personally, Ariel, a chat in Zoom, and I will create a word cloud out of your answers. And after we sing these words of Unetana Tokef, we will see what all of your answers are. So take a moment, maybe talk to a person who you're sitting with, a grown-up or a sibling, and think about what is one thing that you would want to change in this world if you could, as we sing the words of Unetana Tokef.
Unetana Tokef Kedushat Hayom Ki hu nora ve'ayom ve'rosh Hashanah Yikatevun Ubiyom Som Kippur Ubiyom Som Kippur Yikatemun Berosh Hashanah Yikatevun Ubiyom Som Kippur Ubiyom Som Kippur
All right, so we got a lot of wonderful answers here. I see coronavirus is one of the biggest ones. And the way that a word cloud works is the answers that we got the most of are the ones that are biggest. And so it looks like we want coronavirus to go away. We'd like to see an end to pollution. We want more trees, more peace. We want more animals. Lots of lovely things that we would increase in the world, that we want to see make more of in the world, and lots of things that we maybe would want to get rid of. So this is a wonderful way to bring us into this new year, hoping that we can move towards making some of these things come true. So I'm going to read I'm going to read this out loud, and I would love if you at home would read the italics. On Rosh Hashanah it is written, on Yom Kippur it is sealed. Who will be filled with life? Who will merely exist? Who will burn with the fires of greed? Who will drown in the waters of despair? Who will hunger for goodness? Who will thirst for justice? Who will speak unkindly of others? Whose gentle words will make peace? Who will be plagued by fear of the world? Who will strangle for lack of friends? Who will be shattered by the storms of change? Who will be burdened by the pressure to conform? Who, like beasts, will use violence to gain power? Who will shake up the world with just actions? Who will be calm in every storm? Who will be troubled by the passing breeze? Who will be poor, never appreciating what they have? Who will be rich, content with exactly what is theirs? But repentance, prayer, and tzedakah, they have the power to change the character of our lives. These return us to God.
Berosh Hashanah Yikatevun Ubiyom Som Kippur Ubiyom Som Kippur Yikatevun Berosh Hashanah Yikatevun Ubiyom Som Kippur Ubiyom Som Kippur Yechatevun Uteshuva Utefila Utedaka Ma'avidin et Ra Hagzera.
So, my friends, at this time, we take a few moments for some personal prayer. Our personal prayer is a time for us to think about what it is that we'd ask for from God, what it is that we want for ourselves. And so I invite you to think about some of the things that you might have written or thought about, the things that you want to change. And silent prayer is maybe a time for you to think about how you might take steps in your life to make those things just a little bit different, a little bit better. So we pray silently.
Oseh shalom bimromav, may the one who makes peace in high places, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, make peace for us, ve'al kol Yisrael, and over all of Israel, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, and over all the people who dwell on the earth, and let us say Amen. We're praying for peace, and we talk about peace being made in the heavens and the high places. And like Ariel was talking about before, there are some things we can control and some things we can't. And I actually think that each of us can help bring a little bit more peace into the world. And so as we sing Oseh Shalom, I want you to think about, what does it really mean for you to make peace? What would that look like in making peace with a friend, someone in your community, in the larger world? And maybe after Yom Kippur, we can take the first little steps in making some peace. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom
this time we're at the point in our service called the Vidui. There are all these fancy names for different sections of our service on Yom Kippur. And the Vidui is a time when we think about all of the things that as a group, as a community, as a people, that as a person that we've done that's not so great, that we want to maybe change in the new year. And a tradition that we have is that we take our hand and put it in a fist like this, and we put it on our heart. And sometimes we can think of this as when we pound our chest every time we say something that we've done wrong. We can think of this as sort of like punishing ourselves, but I want to think of it a little bit differently. I want to think of it like we are giving our heart a little bit of a wake-up call, a little bit of an extra oomph, a little bit of extra energy to change that thing for the following year. So if we've said not nice things about people, when we beat our heart a little bit, we remind ourselves, I'm going to say something nice about that person the next time I have a chance. If we think about, I didn't clean up after myself the last time that I played with my toys, then maybe when we beat our chest, we think a little bit about, okay, maybe the next time I play, I'm going to clean up without my parent or grown up having to ask. So these are the kinds of things that we think about. I hope that you will join us in singing. Cantor Davidson will sing one line, and then please join me in repeating after her. And every time we say whatever we sing a line, we're going to wake up our hearts a little bit together.
Ashamnu,
Ashamnu,
Agadnu,
Bagadnu,
Gazalnu,
Gazalnu,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Hevinu,
Hevinu,
Vehirshanu,
Hirshanu,
Zadnu,
Zadnu,
Hamasnu,
Hamasnu,
Tafalnu Shaker,
Tafalnu Shaker,
I da 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 da, I da 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 da, I da 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 da, Yatsnura,
Yatsnura,
Kizavnu,
Kizavnu,
Latsnu,
Latnu,
Aradnu,
Aranu,
Niatsnu,
Niatnu,
Sararnu,
Saranu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Pashanu,
Ashanu,
Sararnu,
Taranu,
Kishinu Oref,
Ishinu Oref,
Yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, For the wrong we have done, we are truly sorry. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the wrong we have done by not always speaking the truth, we are truly sorry. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for having been stubborn and lazy, we are sorry. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the wrong we have done by hurting other people's feelings, we are truly sorry. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for having been unfair or spiteful, we truly are sorry. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the wrong we have done by speaking when we should have listened, we are truly sorry. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for remaining silent when we should have spoken up, we are truly sorry. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the wrong we have done by being jealous of other people's luck, we are truly sorry. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for being bad-tempered when we could have been cheerful, we are truly sorry. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the wrong we have done when we failed to honor our parents, we are truly sorry. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, for the times when we failed to honor our teachers, we are truly sorry. For all these things, O God of forgiveness, pardon us and forgive us.
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו. Avinu Malkeinu, Bonenu Bahaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Bonenu Bahaneinu, Ki ein banu maasim. Asei manu, tzedaka v'chesed. Asei manu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Konenu v'haneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Konenu v'haneinu, ki ein banu maasim.
So, my friends, we've arrived at one of the center parts of our service for Yom Kippur morning, which is our opportunity to hear Torah read. The Torah reading that we hear on Yom Kippur is one that reminds us that this is not just a holiday about saying, I'm sorry. It's not just a holiday about forgiving people who've done bad things to us in the past year. It's much more than that. Yom Kippur is a brand new start, a new opportunity, an opportunity to make better choices in the year that's coming than we've made in the year that has gone by. Every single day we are faced with opportunities to make a choice, big and small, from the small choice of whether we're going to brush our teeth in the morning, and I hope that indeed you are, to bigger choices like whether we're going to be kind to our brothers or sisters, whether we're going to do the right thing at school or possibly cheat off of a friend's paper. Every day we have to make choices, and on Yom Kippur we're faced with the opportunity to make better choices next year. The Torah portion that we're going to hear this morning underscores that message, and to help us offer the blessing before and after the reading of Torah, we'll call now on the Barrow family. Jody Barrow is a member of our Board of Trustees and also one of our ECC co-chairs. So Jody, along with her husband Jordan and their kids, Blake, Jack, and Sloan, please join with us now as we offer the blessing before the reading of Torah.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Re'ei natati lefanecha hayom et hachayim ve'et hatov ve'et hamavet ve'et hara. Ha'idoti vachem hayom et hashamayim ve'et haaretz hachayim ve'hamavet natati lefanecha habracha ve'haklala uvacharta v'chaim למען תחיה אתה וזרעך.
Now we'd invite the Barrow family to offer the blessing after the reading.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hei olam atah b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Jody and Jordan, and to your entire family, thank you so much by honoring us this morning with these blessings before and after the reading of Torah. And more importantly, Jody, thank you for all that you do for our community. Our volunteer lay leaders work hard all of the time. And in this year of a pandemic, it's been triply demanding of you. So thank you for all of the volunteer effort that you've put into helping make sure that this community remains strong, even through uncharted waters. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
So my friends, we have the opportunity now to hear a story for Yom Kippur. This is not a story that comes from our Torah, but it's one that is indeed suggested by our Torah portion, which again reminds us that in every moment of the day, we are faced with choices, and we can choose between the good path or the less good path. This story takes place on Yom Kippur in a great synagogue in a far, far away town. And as Yom Kippur services were beginning, the rabbi, the revered and old rabbi of the synagogue, sat in his chair up on the bima and leaned back in his robe and settled in to watch the service unfold. The whole clergy team had been working extraordinarily hard over the past month to make sure that all of the parts of the service were ready to go and in place. And the rabbi sat back and watched to see how it would all unfold. And sitting next to the rabbi, as always, was the president of the synagogue, who sat on the bima and helped to represent the volunteer leadership of the community. And just as the service got to the Torah reading, the rabbi, who'd been sitting there the whole time quite contentedly and quite somberly, just when they got to the reading of Torah, the rabbi started to laugh. He was at first just a light chuckle, like a and then before you knew it, that light chuckle erupted into a little bit more of a loud laugh, like a ho ho ho. And then before the Torah reading could even finish, the rabbi was cackling out loud, ho 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 ho. And the entire congregation thought that this was very strange. After all, this was Yom Kippur, the most serious and somber day of the year. Why is the old revered rabbi sitting up there on the bima not looking somber and serious, but instead cackling and laughing? So unprepared and so silly, seemingly. And the president of the synagogue looked at the rabbi and wondered what could possibly be going on here. And eventually, as the Torah service came to an end, the rabbi was able to maintain his laughter and the service continued onward. But it was only a couple of moments later when they got to the confessional prayer, when everyone stood up and said, these are the sins we've committed in the past year, and these are the ways that we commit to being better. Again, the rabbi, who had been sitting there ever so calmly, started first with a little giggle. And then, before you knew that, that giggle had grown into a laugh. And finally, at last, a loud cackle. And again, the synagogue, the congregation, didn't know, why could the rabbi possibly be laughing in the middle of the service? Well, eventually the service continued onward, and as it came to an end, the shofar sounder stood up, and just as the sun was setting on Yom Kippur, the shofar blaster heard Tekiah Gedolah, and sounded the shofar. But just before the shofar blast sounded, once again the rabbi started laughing uncontrollably, unable to contain himself. And at this point, the synagogue president was a little concerned. Why is our rabbi laughing on Yom Kippur? This is a day for being serious and somber and solemn. I'm going to have to take it up with him after the service is over. And so, as the service concluded, and as the congregants streamed out the back doors of the sanctuary to go home and enjoy their meal after fasting all day long, the president turned to the rabbi and said, Rabbi, I happened to notice that you were laughing throughout the service. I mean, who couldn't have noticed? You laughed almost throughout the entire thing, and it wasn't a small chuckle. It was a cackle. It was a and why, Rabbi, were you laughing on Yom Kippur? And the rabbi said, well, come with me and I can help you to understand. And so the president of the synagogue and the rabbi together drove out from the synagogue parking lot, turned down the street, drove a mile down the road, and made another left turn and came upon an old and rickety house. And when they got to the house, the rabbi knocked on the door, and from within the house they heard a very quiet voice saying, "Who is it?" And the rabbi said, "It's me, it's the rabbi." And the little voice inside the house said, "Come in, please." And the rabbi came in. And the president followed in with the rabbi. And seated there in the house was one of the eldest members of the congregation, a little old woman who belonged to the synagogue since she was a little girl, and who was herself now 92 years old, and too frail and too old to be able to come to the synagogue and participate in the worship services. And the rabbi said, "Good yontif." And this elderly congregant said, "Good yontif to you, Rabbi." And the president said, our rabbi was laughing during the service this evening. I can't understand why, and he's brought me here to your house to help me understand why he was laughing during services. Can you help me to understand this? And this little old woman said, "It's so funny that you should say so, because I couldn't come to services this year, as I usually can't because of my condition, but I sat here at home all day long and I studied and I read. And as I came to the Torah reading, I saw this passage that says that every day we get to make choices, choosing good or bad. And I remembered that all year long I've been carrying around this anger. I felt so mad at my neighbor for this thing she did. And I remembered that I don't have to be angry, that I actually can forgive her. I have a choice about whether I want to be angry or whether I want to forgive. And remembering that I have a choice caused me, my little old lady self, to laugh. And I started laughing when I got to the Torah portion. And the temple president said, "Yes, I understand. I know that remembering that we have a choice might cause you to feel great joy, great glee, might cause you to laugh on this day that's supposed to be so somber. I get why you were laughing, but Rabbi, you couldn't possibly have heard this little old woman laughing in her house a mile down the road. Rabbi, why were you laughing?" And the rabbi said, "Well, it's true. I couldn't hear this old woman laughing from so far away. But her laugh caused the angels to laugh. And that I couldn't help but hear." And my friends, the temple president learned an important message that day. She learned that Yom Kippur isn't actually a somber day. It's not a sad time. It's not a time for beating ourselves up for all the things we've done wrong. In fact, on Yom Kippur, it's perfectly appropriate to laugh, to smile, because this is actually a happy day. It's the day on which we remember that next year, and not even just next year, every minute is a brand new start. And if that doesn't bring us joy, then what possibly would? Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Thank you, Rabbi Reeser, for that beautiful story. We think now of those in our lives who are in need of some joy, are in need of some laughter and some smiles. And so at this time we think of those who need a little bit of extra healing, a little bit of extra help. And so if there's someone you're thinking of, please feel free to write their name in the chat as we sing Misha Berach, our prayer for healing, together.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
At this time, we think about those who might have been sitting with us this time last year, who might not be here with us anymore. Those people who made us laugh, who brought so much joy into our lives, and who lit it up with their joy. And so sometimes we think about the mourner's Kaddish as a sad prayer, but actually, I think that it can sometimes be a happy prayer. Just like Yom Kippur, we think of maybe as a somber day that we can still laugh on Yom Kippur. We can think of this prayer as a happy prayer as we remember all of the wonderful memories of our loved ones who are no longer with us. So if there is someone you are thinking of this morning who is no longer with us, please feel free to share their name among the people who you're sitting with or in the chat if you're here with us in the Zoom. And please join me in saying the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal veyitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulamei almaya, yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen.
My friends, a few brief announcements as we prepare to conclude. Our main sanctuary service for adults and anyone else who'd like to join is currently available for live streaming on our Brand Live site. So if you'd like to also participate in our main sanctuary service, please feel free to pop over to Brand Live and watch that service, participate in that service there. There's also lots of things happening throughout the afternoon, all of them available on Brand Live, both for members and for guests of WRT. And we especially hope that you'll join us at 7 p.m. for a Havdalah ritual where we'll mark the end of Yom Kippur, bring us fully out of this high holy day season and start to move towards Sukkot, which begins on Friday evening. So please join us at 7 p.m. on Zoom for Havdalah. You can find a link for that in our e-communications. As we bring this service to a conclusion and prepare to hear the sound of the shofar, having patted our chests for things that we've done wrong in the past year from A to Z, let's also celebrate from A to Z the ways that we'd like to be better in the year that is to come. May 5781 be a year in which we find ourselves feeling authentic, brave, and caring, devoted, earnest, and forgiving. May we be generous, hopeful, and insightful, just, knowing, and loving. May it be a year in which we are moral and neighborly and find ourselves open. May we be patient, questioning, and respectful, sincere, truthful, and unafraid, virtuous, wise, and youthful, and may we all be filled with a zest for life.
Tekiah Gedolah.
Shana Tova, everybody.
Die, die, die.